Hey guys, this is Luminous and you're watching a guide on Maiden. Maiden is a range intelligence support that excels in early game ganking and mid game disabling. Offensively, she's one of the few heroes that has 2 nukes and disables, as well as a deceptively powerful AoE ultimate. However, she's one of the slowest heroes in the entire game, and coupled with her low armor and health, she's an easy target in fights. Because she's often played as a hard support, she lacks the gold to fill her inventory, making Maiden one of the harder heroes to play well for beginners. She's no damsel in distress. When played properly, Maiden's one of the strongest support there is. Crystal Nova is an AoE nuke that slows both movement speed and attack speed on impact. Dealing 250 damage in a 5-second slow, Crystal Nova's true strength lies with the 700 cast range. Combining Nova's long cast range and its 400 AoE, Maiden could initiate from 900 range away. The long cast range of Nova deserves a special mention in tower defense situations, as most other supports would not be able to repel creeps as easily and safely as Maiden can. Lastly, Nova also provides vision on the targeted area, which is extremely handy for chasing and dewarding. Decent damage and great utility, Crystal Nova is a handy spell throughout the game. Frostbite is a single targeted disable that lasts for 3 seconds at max level and dishes a respectable 280 damage. Keep in mind that Frostbite is not a true stun in that the enemy can still cast spells and activate items within Frostbite. The notable exception is Blink from both Anti-Mage and Queen of Pain. A unique attribute of Frostbite is that it keeps enemy heroes from going into visibility in this duration, making it a good weapon against invisible heroes. In addition, Frostbite lasts 10 seconds in all levels against most creeps and summons, giving Maiden some jungling capabilities. One large downside of Frostbite is its 500 cast range, which Maiden may have trouble getting close enough to cast. Lastly, but most importantly, Frostbite has a low 10-second cooldown, and is one of the few disables in the game that has an instant cast animation. This makes Frostbite a good spammable spell to cancel dangerous channels or to chain stuns together. Arcane Aura is a global aura that grants all allies increased mana regeneration. Specifically for Maiden, the effect of Arcane Aura is doubled. The doubling of the aura allows her to get away without buying any mana regeneration items. She's too much of a princess to share this awesome double aura, so everybody else only gets half. Freezing Field is a channeling ultimate that surrounds Maiden in a 685 AoE. Within this AoE, 70 ice explosions will randomly occur for 250 damage each, for an average of almost 2000 damage. Although Freezing Field has the potential to deal insane damage, keep in mind that the ultimate can be disrupted by any stun during a 7 second of channel time. Furthermore, because of the AoE of Freezing Field is fairly small, it requires Maiden to get dangerously close to enemies. Channeling a good Freezing Field often requires a great deal of crowd control from allies, but the damage potential can be worth the setup. The frequently forgotten parts of Freezing Field is its 30% slow on both movement speed and attack speed, which matters immensely if enemies are trying to escape from the ultimate. Lastly, Freezing Field has a steep mana cost, and even for an intelligence hero, Maiden has issues with casting the spell without the aid of mana boosting items. Luckily for Maiden, since she packs 2 nukes and disables, she could pick the skill that suits her laning situation the best. In the cases where Maiden is the initiator and the team has a proper follow-up, skilling Nova for its long cast range is appropriate. In the cases where the team needs more stun duration, Frostbite offers a pseudo stun and a slightly better damage. Apart from getting a single point in aura at level 3, the first skill to max depends on which of the 2 nukes give better utility to the team. Generally, maxing Nova is a good choice for its AoE and longer cast range, but against specific hero that has blink, invisibility, or speed increasing spells such as Windrunner Surge, maxing Frostbite first is more effective. Lastly, taking Freezing Field at level 6 is completely optional and dependent on the lineup. The mana cost is steep and the damage output is generally lackluster, although with allies such as Magnus or Enigma, Freezing Field can be a good investment. Arcane Aura is level up according to how much mana the team needs, and skipping the aura beyond its first level for stats give Maiden some welcome health and mana. Since Frostbite lasts for 10 seconds against creeps and the aura is doubly effective for Maiden, she could jungle the early portions of the game. Keep in mind that this is a corner case and she should be actively ganking right after level 3. Lastly, Arcane Aura rarely needs to be maxed. In many cases, 2 points of it is more than enough for the team. Though uncommon, should more levels of the aura be necessary, The aura can be level over Frostbite or Crystal Nova beyond level 8. Heroes with spammable spells such as Shadow Fiend, Zeus, or Death Prophet will greatly appreciate the extra mana, but keep in mind the damage that Crystal Maiden has to give up by leveling up aura. In summary, there are 3 important aspects to remember about Crystal Maiden's skill set. Crystal Nova has 900 range, so use the range to stay alive or stay away or to set up your Frostbite. Enemies can still cast spells and use items out of Frostbite. Be extremely attentive of BKB users. High levels of Freezing Field takes a ton of mana, and the damage output can be lackluster if you're unlucky. At times, it's correct to skip the ultimate altogether. As most support heroes go, Crystal Maiden will likely be partnered with the carrier of the team. Decisions such as warding, pulling changes from game to game, and deciding whether to go quick boots, dust, or courier upgrade differ in each time as well. Communication with the carry player is of utmost importance, since an untimely pull, for example, allows the enemies to dive the carry under the tower. Other basic support tips, such as heading to the rune several seconds before it spawns, or keeping an eye out for enemy support's inventory, are all applicable in Crystal Maiden's play. As more time goes on, Crystal Maiden becomes less effective, so treat the game as a clock that's winding down. Aggressively smoke gank with allies, and carry teleport scrolls at all time. If ganks are difficult to come by, try to duck in the jungle for a small item such as boots or magic stick, and teleport into an unsuspecting lane to backstab. Spending too much time idling with Crystal Maiden can be game losing. Communicating with your gank party and planning ahead is especially important for Crystal Maiden, since her movement speed can cause her to lag behind the rest of the team. A simple "you initiate, I follow" can drastically increase the success rate of the gank, so be sure to use pings and various forms of in-game communication with the rest of the team. In general, thinking half to 1 second ahead is a key part in being effective with Crystal Maiden ganks. Mid-game warding can be a bane for inexperienced support players, and solo warding expeditions are often a cause of death. Warding position changes throughout the game, thus it's important to learn when and why to ward instead of where to ward. In general, ward according to your team's strengths. If your team's dominating, placing deep wards into the enemy jungle will create a ton of ganking opportunities. However, the same deep jungle wards do nothing if your team is forced to turtle within your base, in which case warding your own jungle or just outside of the base offer much more. Experiment with various lanes, runes, and jungle wards and ask yourself how much did this ward do for the team in this duration, and adjust accordingly. Attempting to ward when many heroes are missing is suicidal. Instead, try to ward when your team is taking the initiative, whether it's during a smoke gang or when the team is farming together in the jungle. Simply asking a mobile core hero to help ward or deward will greatly increase the safety of your warding mission. This is especially true when dewarding, as Crystal Maiden's slow attack speed, low damage, and the dreaded uphill mischance will often get Maiden killed during deward. The biggest tip when it comes to dewarding is simply to have vision down before enemy supports lay their wards. Dewarding becomes a simple chore for Crystal Maiden when she knows when and where the enemy has dropped down a free 50G. In teamfights, Crystal Maiden offers range, spammability, and impressive AoE crowd control to the team. Like most supports, stay in the back lines at the start of the fight until a round of spells are thrown out. Start off with Crystal Nova whenever possible, as it's the highest range spell in her arsenal, and the large AoE plus sight can grant much advantage to the team. Frostbite is extremely spammable, so help allies with chain stunning at every opportunity. Recognizing that enemy heroes are out of stuns or out of range to cast their stuns can pave way for a fight-winning Freezing Field. If your mana pool allows it, casting a high-level Frostbite before channeling the ultimate greatly increases the damage of Freezing Field. Cancelling the Freezing Field mid-channel is an uncommon option, though in the face of incoming stuns or a killing blow, it's often the correct decision. In many cases, casting multiple Crystal Nova and Frostbites can be more beneficial to the team than casting a single Freezing Field. A good way to measure how successful your Crystal Maiden play is to count how many spells she has unleashed in a single teamfight. If you cast an upwards of 6 to 7 spells in a chaotic teamfights, you have shown a strong sense of map awareness, mana management, and above all else, excellent positioning. For a team that had a poor start and is lagging behind in experience and gold, take advantage of the long cast range of Nova and defending towers. Even though Crystal Maiden is quite frail compared to most heroes, she can be annoying as long as enemies cannot get to her. Jungling with Frostbite and Arcane Aura is always an option, although if the team has a better jungler, give the farm to them. Hiding in fog behind ally carry heroes is a good way to keep them alive, and perhaps even find kills against aggressive gankers. Again, look for opportunities to set up smoke ganks to turn things around. Especially with Freezing Field's high damage potential, Crystal Maiden can certainly turn tides of the teamfight with some luck. Despite that, her base stats are absolutely horrendous. Crystal Maiden will likely spend most of her gold on supportive items. Instead of a stacked inventory, she'll rely on its superior positioning and range to stay out of harm's way. Like most support heroes, basic items such as boots and magic stick is a godsend, so these two are always a must. The standard observers, sentries, smokes, and detection goes without mention. Teleport squirrels, especially several minutes into the game, are extremely devastating. Since Crystal Maiden packs 2 disables and nukes, any tower divers can be punished easily. Keep in mind that 135 gold early into the game is quite the investment. She also needs a total of 290 mana to teleport and cast a level 1 Nova and Frostbite. However, if all the criteria are met, she could single-handedly win a lane for an ally by teleporting in. For boots upgrades, Tranquil Boots grants most of what Crystal Maiden needs. The health regen, coupled with Arcane Aura, will keep her active and roaming at all times. The +4 armor of Tranquil Boots stays active even when the boots is broken, and it goes a long way in giving Crystal Maiden some extra survivability. Phase and Arcanes are also suitable, though not all the stats are well utilized and thus quite situational. Drums of Endurance, Urn of Shadows, as well as Force Staff are great supportive items to pick up, and since their components are quite inexpensive, it's not uncommon for Crystal Maiden to acquire one of these. All of these items play well offensively and defensively, so it mostly comes down to personal preference and the game at hand. Force Staff deserves a special mention for its versatility in saving allies and setting up excellent positioning for Freezing Field. Luxury item for Crystal Maiden includes Mechanism, Hand of Midas, and the more expensive Yule Scepter and Heaven's Halberd. Black King Bar also turns Crystal Maiden from a squishy backliner into a force to be reckoned with in the center of fights. It's rare to have a random 4,000 gold rolling around, but take advantage of it when it does. Crystal Maiden is slow and downright squishy, but she's anything but weak. Boasting dual nukes and disables, she is a laning and ganking machine. With the versatility of Crystal Nova and Frostbite, she has a changing skill set that could blend into any team or lane. Few other support heroes have the range she has through Crystal Nova, or the raw damage potential of Freezing Field. She's also one of the most iconic heroes in Dota history, and should be near and dear to everyone's hearts. So stay alive and have fun freezing with Crystal Maiden. As always, I hope you guys enjoy the guide and learn something from it. My next guide is going to be on Knight Davion, or the Dragon Knight. Here's a playlist to all my guides, and of course, if you'd like to see more of this content, subscribe would help me greatly. That'll be it. As always, this is Luminous, signing off. GG guys.